Hey guys, welcome to this week's podcast episode. I've got a really fantastic guest for you today, Dr. Solomon, and she's an
Zaayin. Sorry, my name is Zaayin.
Hey guys, welcome to this week's podcast episode. I'm really excited about today's guest, Zaayin, and she is a physician and her background is despite being in medicine, she's going to talk to us all about being a writer, a physician writer, and she's got this fantastic work that's coming out that we're going to talk all about. And today's talk is going to be elevating people's consciousness, spirituality, emotional resilience, and I'm happy to bring individuals on the cutting edge, such as Zaayin, to the show. So welcome, Zaayin.
Thank you so much. Happy to be here.
Yeah, yeah. I know we had connected through Podmatch, and like I said, I love people that are doing things against the mainstream. So tell people your story, and we'll dive right into it.
Okay, so yeah, I'm an internal medicine physician. I grew up in Pakistan and then I took the USMLE like everyone else. I did my residency here and I became a locums doctor. And I had always, I think since 15 years old, I'd been reading about global warming and climate change, and my heart was always into helping the environment. So in 2017, when the US left the US Climate Accord and the Paris Climate Accord, I was just like, what just happened? Because that was a huge thing. And the US started undoing a lot of the things it had done, like the carbon tax even. So before I knew it, like ideas started bubbling up in my brain. And it was even more than that. It was like this flood of ideas every night after work. And I would like watch TV, but I was actually just staring at it and I was getting my own ideas. And finally, I'm like, well, what is going on? Maybe I should start writing. And I started writing and it just poured out of me. I started writing about a dystopian future that I was seeing based on all true climate change predictions. And this is back in 2018. And then I realized things in reality are happening faster than the people had predicted it to be. So, for example, we thought the Amazon forest would burn maybe in the 2040s. No, a lot of it already burned. Stuff like that started happening. And my book, which was supposed to be a dystopian rant, took me through my own spiritual journey. I wasn't aware of all the religious trauma I had growing up in a Islamic country and the way, women are treated differently from men, even little girls. So that sort of started being processed while I was writing this. And then it took a spiritual turn. And I don't know if a lot of people know this. The word spiritual comes from spiral ritual. And I didn't mean to write about spirals, but they just put themselves in the book. I think maybe it's a phenomena some people experience. And it became really spiritual. And at the end, it changed me. The book is now called With Love from Planet B. Initially, it was just called Planet B, but it changed me so much and it taught me about love the deeper I went. And the whole time I was writing it, I kept getting this like message like go deeper, go deeper. So I kept going deeper. I think it's a good book. It's getting some really good reviews, including reviews not from my friends, which mean the most. And I would love for people to pick it up. It is a little different, though. It's not your usual, it's not a murder mystery or like an action thriller suspense. It really is something that starts off with very real predictions that are already happening. Some have already happened, and then kind of takes you through your journey and what is it really to be human and to spiritually evolve.
Yeah, really fantastic. Because I had another podcast guest who actually wrote for therapy. She's also a physician, Dr. Deborah Blaine. You can check out that episode. But she actually wrote a medical fiction similar to Michael Crichton or like John Grisham in the legal realm, and just kind of as therapy, way to consolidate thoughts. And sounds like you're doing the same, which is kind of interesting. But it sounds like yours was more like a spiritual, and then yours is kind of maybe the universe writing through you, which is I encourage all the audience to go check it out. It's With Love from Planet B on Amazon. Definitely give that a check. And then so kind of this spiritual awakening journey and writing this novel, you mentioned your own awakening, and can you share more about this
Oh yeah.
transformation and how it parallels the journey of your characters?
Oh yeah, sure. Definitely. The biggest and the main spiritual awakening was so just for a little background, I just want to explain to people who I am. I am basically almost like a hermit. And this book turned me into even more of a hermit. I've always been introverted, like low interest in relationships, no marriage, no kids. And I think that allowed me to, especially living alone day after day and meditating and thinking about these topics, it allowed me to go really deep. But in one of my meditative states, I just started seeing all what I would call would be truths. I started seeing them in my mind's eye. And before I knew what like spiritual community has all sorts of names for them, I was just like, what am I doing? I started calling it thought work. I would see thoughts and I would try to balance the ideas in my mind, and the visions I was seeing would then align and they would become beautiful. And they would then sort of confirm to me, like, yes, we're real, we are the truth. And the biggest one that I saw love. I was not expecting this at all. And I know how it comes across like, what? This is getting all lovey dovey. No, it's not that type of a love. I literally saw how everything is made of love, like on a very, very quantum scientific level. And I
Hmm.
saw these lines flowing it. That was one of the things that I'm still like trying to figure that out. But let's see, the characters in the book, one is a future climate refugee from Pakistan, and the other one is an American atheist. And the one who's a climate refugee, she grew up, with the Taliban and extremists in the camps, and religion was sort of beaten into her. And when they grow up, they're living in this future where the corporations have taken over the world. The corporate nation is called the Free One World Nation, or Free Own, which is supposed to be like an oxymoron.
Uh-huh.
And they're working on research on teleportation, and they've just achieved teleportation. So is supposed to be the first teleporter. They basically end up discovering Planet B, but it turns out that to get there is not so easy because they have to earn their way in.
Uh-huh.
And in doing so, they learn some very disturbing truths about our reality and where we're headed to in terms of the spiritual realm, and how Earth has been quarantined from all the other entities and planets out there. So the first character, Zara, she goes through like this spiritual experience where she falls back on her religious upbringing, and she sees the ancient religious figures all the way from Buddha to Jesus, Moses, Muhammad, and David.
Yeah.
And then Lex, who's the atheist, she has a completely different experience. She's like breaks down into her DNA, where she is first in the quantum, and then she's literally the endonuclease enzyme that works in the DNA. But all of these things have stories. So she's living out a story at that subcellular level where she has to make decisions of what to do. And then she's like at the cellular level, there's a whole medical fiction type where she fixes her own immune system disease by the decisions she makes as an immune cell. I know this part is a little cute, but I love it. And then she has this one chapter where she's in her brain, and what's happening is, she's facing some disturbing things about herself. She's learning how to face all those difficult aspects, and she's actually having a pineal gland experience, but I don't spell that out in the book. So a lot of things are just left up to the reader. Those who know more might read more into it,
Yeah.
and if you do, then yes, that's the point. And those who don't yet know about those things will still gain a lot of value. But there are all these little Easter eggs and little hints dropped throughout the novel for people who have read a lot of spiritual books, and they'll be like, "Oh, I think she's talking about this."
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really, really fascinating. It's really inspired me to go, check it out and then also, read it. And one thing is this, how did your background in internal medicine and interest in quantum physics influence the narrative?
Oh yeah, I was a nerd. I was like, I still love learning right now, but when I was in my 20s in med school, I would still want to read like Stephen Hawking, Brief History of Time. I think I read that twice and I underlined it, trying to understand it. So I even now I have a couple of books on quantum physics. I really try to understand, the experts say no one can say they really understand it because they're lying. So I'm not going to say I understand it.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, that had to be in there as because everything is energy at the end of the day. Internal medicine. So I was one of those residents, or should I say medical students, who loved everything. If I was learning the eye, I wanted to be an ophthalmologist. If I was studying the ENT, I wanted to be an ENT doctor. Everything, I just loved it. So I think internal medicine is a good place for me to be. And yeah, I found myself writing about DNAs and the immune system. I love the immune system and studying about it. So I put these little facts that are true facts that are just mixed in with the story. It was so much fun to write, I have to tell you, especially speaking to another doctor.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna ask you follow up. Is this like your only book, or if this is kind of like it sounded like I'm not sure whatever this universe or law of attraction kind of wrote it through you, and you talk about predictions coming through and relevance of spiritual messages. So my question is, because I'm kind of a empath and intuitive, so sometimes I'll get like insights and I have to act on these hunches. But are you naturally this way, or is it just kind of while writing this book? And why do you believe it's important for people to pay attention to spiritual messages, and what role do you think that your book plays in foreseeing and influencing real world events?
So if I wasn't holding back, I'm not going to hold back. I would say, so as scientists, if we actually listen to what the other scientists are saying
Yeah.
about the possibility of our extinction, about how many plants, animals, insects are going extinct right now, and we might lose up to 90% of them this century, right? Major scientists are calling about this extinction event. So I feel like, and there's a positive and a negative to this. First, we really are in a time where humanity could definitely either be enslaved and survive in a very like subhuman way, maybe with AI. I don't know what else. All the conspiracy theories are out there, or we will awaken, which is where I'm now starting to see that happening. So we will awaken, and we might even awaken more than we ever realized with special abilities, where we're like, hey, no, no, no. Okay, we burnt up the planet, but we're going to awaken and we're going to stop and we're going to truly evolve and not become enslaved by corporations or not be in a system that's run by AI and we're not able to change it. So what that means is we're all going to get spiritual messages. In fact, one of my experiences through all of this was that a lot of other people are having similar kind of knowings.
Uh-huh.
And some major people are actually even hitting the same targets that I hit, which are one of like when my heroines in the book, when they go over to Planet B, they actually discovered this advanced human race, but except they're just so much more advanced naturally without technology and with technology, and they diagnose us with 3 spiritual diseases. Right? I'm not going to give all of those away, but I will tell you this much. I did not start out saying, I'm going to write a book about these 3 spiritual diseases. Like I might have had 1.5 in mind, but like it surprised me. I was definitely learning as I was writing. And I think writing is such a big part of just going inward and our own spiritual journey. In fact, currently, I just started this course in Hermetics, which is an ancient spiritual path of just the oneness. And one of the main things that tell us again and again is every time you meditate, write down what you experienced. And I'm like, well, I've been doing that while writing my novel for the past 5 years. It definitely took me deeper. I was spiritual, maybe I should say I was religious as a kid until I realized religion was just breaking my heart. And then I became spiritual. And yeah, the book, parts of it definitely felt like I didn't come up with it. It definitely felt like the universe was speaking through me. And I feel like you know what that feels like. You've experienced that.
Yeah. Yeah, we can talk about, different insights. And is this like the only book you're going to write, or is it just basically as you get these hunches, you start writing? The way you're describing it is actually kind of reminds me of kind of Neo in the Matrix, where it's like the whole plan is like kind of submerged and, attached to the AI, and then he kind of breaks free from all of that.
Yeah. Um, this is good for now. I feel like I went so deep writing this book. Like I became a hermit, very disconnected. And to be honest, some parts of it can get disturbing. One of the reasons why I think love was shown to me was
Yeah.
because we need that power and we need that power to charge ourselves up. Not necessarily the romantic lovey-dovey love, but literally the universal love, which is a power in me. So for now, I think I'm good. I just need to get this book and the messages in this book out there. I am getting a few other messages, which I write down. They're sort of like knowings, but I feel like they're for me. And I don't feel like they're for a fiction book. If anything, it might be a nonfiction book that I write maybe in the future when it's time. I'm not going to try and force anything out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, really, again, very fascinating. And so kind of to conclude, talk about you ended on like an inspirational note, and you diagnosed humanity with three spiritual diseases, which people should go into the book to read. And then can you elaborate on the significance of gender and understanding these diseases, especially in the context of gender rebellion we're observing in today's youth?
Yeah, I feel like I can speak about the three spiritual diseases, partly because some people might not read the book, or maybe this will make them want to read further. The first disease, which is the one I didn't plan on writing about, which came through me, was that these aliens tell us we are afraid of the dark, and they're not. And that has
Mhm.
many, many levels where they also have nocturnal vision. But what their main message is, we are afraid of the unknown. We are afraid of the unshown. And we have so many reactions before we even try to explore the unknown. Like we go in with shields and all these things. And that was the one that was most intriguing for me to figure out. But I feel like I did a good job at the end. I had these knowings that helped me explain that. And that goes really deep into duality and polarity and positive and negative, and how darkness is thought of as negative in our world,
Yeah.
and I explain in the book how it's not exactly scientific to think of it that way, you know,
Uh-huh.
and how it's affecting our subconscious mind. And they're really urging us to know more. Like, don't be afraid of things you don't know. That's the first disease. The second disease is about gender. The second disease is something I've thought of for a while, and it's solidified for me, is how our world, 95% of it, calls God a he. And these days, especially in the West, the younger generation is all up in arms about pronouns. And
Yeah.
that's a reaction when you think of a human race as any chemical system, and it's growing, and whatever issues it had was fine. But now we're at 8 billion people. We are connected with the internet. We're educated. There's going to be suddenly a reaction like, what's going on with the pronoun thing? So the second disease of humanity is that we worship a male god, and we are now intelligent enough to realize, like, I can't keep saying that. I can't keep saying he. It's insulting my own intelligence every time, and it's insulting my own soul every time. So we're at that point where we need to stop that and snap out of it.
Yeah.
And of course, that'll end a lot of misogyny in our world, and it'll be better for both men and women. And I also kind of explained that in the book, how the aliens explained that to us, how both will be happier and more of their true selves if they stop the whole masculinization of God.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
quite interesting because kind of I had another podcast on another guest, and we're talking about how like the standards is, it's white, American, and male, and why is that the standard, for everything? And you point out a very interesting thing is difference between spirituality and religion, and like, whatever God you worship, these are all just representations of cultures and communities, their representation of the universe. So so that's why I always call the universe, he, she, law of attraction, because it's all energy as you described. So how can people contact you, follow your social media? You have some really interesting ideas, and it's all in this book, which will be in the links and show notes.
Yeah, the website is planetbthebook.com.
Yeah.
And if you guys go there and subscribe, I'll let you know when the print book and the audiobook is out. I also send out some little extras now and then. I will not spam you or email you too much. I think I literally have only maybe once a month or once every 2 months when the inspiration really hits me and when it feels really authentic. That's when I send out these emails. Apart from that, I am on TikTok, although that's more of a political, just random thing. It's just me. It's not the book. I want to just make that clear in case anyone does follow me on TikTok. It's with love from Planet B, but that's just me. The book is inspired. The book, I would say, is spiritual. I'm going to keep it up there on a pedestal for me at least. And I'm just a human and I make a lot of mistakes. So the TikTok is just me. And yeah, it's also on Amazon. Part of the reason I wrote was to give humanity the message. So Amazon, it's free for Kindle members, but Amazon won't really let me make it free. So it's only for $1. And I did that because I don't want there to be any kind of resistance for people. Like, should I spend $10 on this book or not? Like, it's just $1. And if I could, I would make it free. Right. I just want people to get these messages in their conscious, in their what do you say, in their thoughts, so that already we're increasing people's consciousness. But just by saying like, hey, you don't have to call God a he, it might be better for you if you don't. And if the whole world gets that idea, now they know it.
Yeah.
And if the whole world gets the idea, don't be afraid of the unknown. Don't be afraid of the darkness.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel like one of the reasons I was given that message is because there might be and there will be a lot of darkness in the future. There are what people call dark forces. I think that's the wrong terminology. It's just unknown forces doing disturbing things. Anyway, I could go really deep into spirals.
Yeah. Well, really fascinating discussion. I really enjoyed it. And all of the resources will be in links and show notes. And with that, thanks so much for coming on.
Hey, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. I'm really honored to be on your show, and I cannot wait to read your